this time I would like to call, reconvene the Suffern Central School District Board of Education meeting of November 20th, 2018. Let the record reflect all board members are present, in addition to our administrators who are here, and our board clerk, Ms. Isolde, Ms. Weber, our great district clerk, Ms. Campbell, Mr. Schnurr, our attorney, Mr. Fromson, and obviously Dr. Adams. If I could please ask everybody to rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My favorite part of the meeting is our student report.
Hi, I'm Maddie Nickpon. I'm a senior at Suffern High School. Tonight was China Night at Suffern High School. The Chinese Honor Society put on a showing there tonight. We also had our NCAA signing today, where 10 student athletes signed to D1, D2, and D3 institutions. The Forensic League speech competition will be on November 28th at Suffern High School, and that will be throughout the school day. There is an SAT exam at Suffern High School on December 1st, and Thanksgiving break begins Thursday. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you, Maddie, and have a happy Thanksgiving. And I just want to make sure we're putting, where's Maddie? Raise your hand. Okay. Well, how do you spell? I know it's a nickname, but what's the correct spelling of your first name?
Oh, M-A-D-I-E.
One D.
One D.
So I looked in several websites. It's double D's, it's a Y, it's an I-E. I've seen like about 6 spellings. So it's M-A-D-Y, M-A-D-I-E. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now we know. Thank you again. Next we have the auditor's report. If you could please come to the mic. Our auditors. Oh, thank you, both here. Thank you. Do you mind introducing yourselves?
Absolutely. I'll introduce Donnelly.
Can we get the microphone? Yes, it's working now. You might want to hold it. You might want to hold it.
Okay. Used to this.
Yeah.
There we go. This is Donnelly Berard. Donnelly is the managing partner of Berard and Associates in Suffern. It's not on?
It's on, but just move it up.
Closer?
Yeah. Thank you.
Donnelly is the managing partner, as I said. She's the partner, engagement partner on the audit. My name is David Wimmer. I was the engagement partner when the firm used to be Cohen Rosenbaum for many years. At the beginning of 2017, we sold our practice to Donnelly's practice, but I'm still involved in managing and assisting and did a lot of the work and managed a lot of the work, so I'm going to handle most of our discussion. And I just have to say I'm very gratified that so many people are interested in hearing about the audit report. Very nice, very nice. We don't usually get that. I have to say that I met with the audit committee last night. We spent a fair amount of time going in quite a bit of detail, and I'm not going to do that to everybody here tonight. So if you can indulge us for maybe 4 or 5 subjects of 1 or 2 minutes each, and we can get on with the meeting. The main thing I want to say about the audit is to thank the board, Dr. Adams, Teresa, and everyone involved in setting the policies and making sure the policies are followed, because it makes it a lot easier for us. It gives us a high comfort level to see the transparency that we encounter, the openness, no sense of evasion in our questions or anything like that. So we appreciate that, and it's a credit to the district to have a good team at the top. A couple things I want to talk about. We had copies of the reports, I know, that were in email form. I want to say that the opinions are clean opinions. They're unqualified, which is to say that The statements that you're looking at are fairly present what happened at the district over the year and the balances at the end of the year. So it's an opinion on the district as a whole. It's an opinion on the fund statements of the district. It's an opinion on the extra classroom activity funds on a cash basis, cash in and out. And then there's two other items that are in the report, more than two, there's a few more than two, but there's a report on internal control that if there's anything serious about the internal control, we would have those listed in there. There were no items of that sort. There's a statement, a letter on compliance with laws and regulations. We have to look at laws and regulations that if they're not being complied with could cause a problem with the finances. There were none of those to report. We had a few items in a management letter, which are smaller, lower level things, but we comment on them so things don't get out of hand. One was on, I know there's been opening in the human resources department and some people out, and it created a situation where someone from payroll had to kind of fill in on parts of it. And that's what we consider a segregation of duties issue, and that someone in payroll shouldn't be doing something in human resources because they're in charge of making sure people get paid. You don't want them in that department. It's a small item, but it's something that we felt we needed to comment on because we don't want that to be on record. And then there were some comments on the extra classroom activity funds, like there usually are, just about documentation and having the advisors and the students make sure that when they do fundraisers, they've got records that are complete and reconcile what happened on those type of items. And the other item in the management letter was about a procedures manual that's required under what's called uniform guidance, which is the application of federal funds. You get federal funds and spend them on different projects, and that requires that there be a separate set of procedures for handling those type of activities. And that's something that needs to be drawn up, and we do have some pro formas from other entities that have done it and kind of followed through that, so we would like that. It's good because the federal government wants you to do it. And the statements themselves, I'm not going to go through the detail. We went through it last night. Certainly we're available at any time for any board member who wants to ask questions or have a little more information on that, but it's all there. And like I said, it's a clean opinion. It was a successful audit, and we appreciate the assistance we get. So certainly we're open to questions now from anybody.
Thank you for that, and we're now going to open the floor for board members to ask questions online. Anybody?
I have one question.
Sure.
All right, I'm just gonna yell. Last night during the audit committee meeting, we had gone through the financials. Thank you. The audited financials, basically from front cover to back cover. We were told about the MD&A, which is management discussion and analysis. In some municipalities, school districts, it's written by the management. Sometimes it's written by the auditing firm. In this case, most of the numbers were done by the auditing firm, but some of the written part of it was done by the administration. So the factors that I was mostly concerned with were factors bearing on the district's future. It's page 13 of the financials. There were three things that were picked up by the administration as concerns to the district. The first one being the certiorari proceedings and the amount that they had on a budget for future tax payments, and the reserves that they had for it. There was something that came up regarding the certioraries, and that is regarding utility properties, and what the governor is trying to do is trying to limit the amount that the utility properties have to single non-public school enrollment may lead to increased costs related to transportation and special education services. The third thing that was very troubling was the building aid, which is coming from the government, which would increase taxes again to the homeowner and the business owners in the school district. And that's $2.3 million that wouldn't be coming in to the school district from the state. So basically what that means is, I did the calculations, that alone is a 2% increase to the taxpayers. So that's like having a tax cap on top of the tax cap. So that will be issued to the taxpayers, and it's another burden. So those are coming from administration, correct?
That's correct.
And not from the auditors. So I just wanted to get
Do
that
you
out
have a
there.
question about this item?
Well, just that they did write it, it came
That
from
was-
the
Yeah,
administration.
That was
that's
a
correct.
district.
Yeah, that's correct.
District, reported information.
Yes, that section will, the whole MD&A is really from the district itself, from management. On this. We help out with putting, some of the MD&A section is just data. So we put that in. Anything that's editorial or they're adding on, this may happen in the future, that's strictly management's.
Do you have this information, of our unassigned fund balance, how much we are contributing, or let's say in 18-19 for this current, budget, how much we contributed to balance our budget?
Oh, as far as is what's appropriate.
What is the actual for 18-19? Because I asked this question and I don't have an answer.
It's $3,100,000.
What's the percentage?
Are you sure you're not asking about the unrestricted, undesignated fund balance?
Yeah.
Limited to 4%?
Yes,
Yeah, that amount is 4%. It is 4%. It's
It is 4%. Sorry?
$5,596,000.
Sorry, can you clarify?
So the amount of your fund balance is not earmarked for something else. It's we'll call it your working capital to cover any shortfalls. It's $5,596,000, and that is 4% of the budget.
Okay, thank you for that. And that's been consistent over,
Yes.
So the difference for next year will just be the difference in the budget at 4%.
Say
So
that again?
the $5 million is there from this year. Next year, to make it 4%, whatever increase in the budget we have, we take 4% of that to add it to our unassigned fund balance.
and the balance has to be rolled into the actual.
Every year we make it 4%. That's
Right.
really the proof figure.
And then you roll the other portion of it.
Right, so the
into
only
reserve.
increase is the 4% of the difference in one year to the other of the budget.
Do we ever apply fund balances to stay under the cap?
Well, the $3,000,001, that's appropriated for the next year's budget. So you're not raising $3.1 million in taxes. You're using some of your existing fund balance.
And does that eventually use it up, or it's always being renewed?
No, it isn't even being used up or not used up. It's at the end of each year.
It's renewable every annual, I think.
It doesn't have to be the same amount, and we use that cash to pay for our expenses during the summer.
So last year it was 2.1, this year it's 3.
That's correct.
Or
Yeah,
2.1 last year.
Yeah.
For the 17, 18
For 17,
year.
18,
Right,
yes.
that was
right, in this.
appropriated.
Okay, great, thank you. That's my only question. Anybody? Mr. Karen's, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Donnelly, Mr. Kern, Mr. McKenzie. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Just wanted to let the board know that
Yeah.
I printed out some of these copies. Oh, you have it?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for yesterday. Thank you.
We appreciate your time and your service.
Yeah.
See you next week. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
this time, the chair would like to entertain a motion for the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting of November 6, 2018. Mr. McKenzie, can you all raise your voices a little so Heather and I can follow? Second?
Second.
Mr. Shapiro. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Minutes are adopted. Thank you very much, Ms. Campbell, for the wonderful work. Superintendent comments.
I have 3 outstanding Boy Scouts. They're excited that the entire faculty's come out to support them.
Good evening, folks. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marcus Siglinski. I'm a proud Eagle Scout of Troop 21, located in Suffern, New York. Behind me are my fellow Eagle Scouts, Michael Simon, Josh Hinkle. We're going to give you a little and Josh Hinkle. So we're going to give you can I just yell? Yeah. All right. So we're going to give you a little insight about what we did for our project. So for my project, I built a couple of planting beds and trellises at the Garden of Hope. For you folks who don't know what the Garden of Hope is, it is a garden behind Good Samaritan Hospital where people who went through tragic events, are handicapped, or just work at Good Samaritan Hospital go to hang out. The garden is wheelchair accessible, so the handicapped patients can plant tomatoes, celery, and all the exotic plants that I don't know they plant there. So to complement what was already there, I made 2 planting beds. One is a huge angular L, and the other one is kind of a trapezoidal shape. My math teacher would be very proud right now of what I did. And then on top of that, to connect the pre-existing structures of my planting beds, I made 4 trellises. So just imagine 2 beams, and then another beam up top, 4 of them, 2 feet apart, going down the garden. Thank you.
I'm Michael Simon. For my project, I made a World War I Veterans Memorial for the 9 veterans from Suffern. This was important because the previous memorial was destroyed when the New York State Thruway came through Suffern. So my project, I actually have photos if you guys want to pass it around. It's going to take a while. You guys are fans of handouts, right? Yeah, my project, as you can see, has a plaque with the names and dates of deaths of the 9 local veterans on a boulder, which you can't see is on a concrete pad. And behind the boulder, there's a flagpole with a flag, and on either side of the monument, there are flowers and trees that I planted.
So like my friend Marcus said, I'm Joshua Hinckley. My project was, I built a greenhouse for the Montebello Community Gardens. It was an 8x10 greenhouse entirely made of, not entirely, but made of recycled 2-liter bottles. So not only was it a service project, but it was a conservation project, which I'm proud of. In total, I had 31 volunteers. The project cost $2,500. And in total, it took 370 man-hours, 180 of which were mine, so it took a while.
Good job, guys. Good job. continue my comments, although the Eagle Scouts were the ones who spoke during that part. As Maddie mentioned earlier today, there was a signing letters of intent NCAA. We had a number of kids that were recognized, and I think there's at least one in here right now, maybe more. Who's in here? Now, of course, I think half the kids that signed letters today were on the baseball team. So Coach Mitchie is expecting a section championship this year. Right? Okay, good. All right. And then the other event I had an opportunity, and it was a distinct pleasure to witness, was yesterday, and Paul Shapiro was able to attend it as well, was the Cambridge class. And there three of the kids did presentations, and they were, the presentations themselves were amazing. Just the composure that the kids had and the way they expressed themselves, but their content knowledge was exceptional. And these aren't easy projects. You know, a lot of them are difficult just to pronounce. And then when the class was over, Mr. Kaplan had the kids go around the room and tell us what projects that they were going to present on or had presented on. And I think the board and the faculty, all of us should be extraordinarily proud of our kids and what they exhibited in the Cambridge class. And really, it's a testament to all of you, K through 12, and what you did to help.
And for my fellow board members who have not had a chance yet to visit the Cambridge class, you all have a calendar on your email. I strongly recommend that you try to make at least one of the dates. I've had the pleasure of attending some of Mr. Kaplan's classes, and topics are extremely cutting edge, controversial, and just listening to our students debate very, very important topics that there's no black or white and no right or wrong, and they're important topics in the media, they're important health-related topics, so I'm going to be making at least one or two of those dates and encourage all my colleagues to do the same. It's a very exciting class, and thanks for Mr. Kaplan for all his hard work with the Cambridge class. At this time, I'd like to open the first segment of public participation. This is on agenda items only, and the first of two segments. Each period will not exceed 30 minutes. Ms. Campbell will be the timekeeper, and each speaker is allowed up to 3 minutes. We cannot discuss specific concerns regarding individual personnel or students, and all comments should be of that nature should be addressed to the superintendent of schools during business hours. Remarks should be addressed to the board president, and please advance to the microphone, state your name and your affiliation with the district before speaking. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Travis Jackson. I'm a school counselor at Suffern Middle. My father started working for the district in 1959. My sister, Sue Delaney, was hired in 1994, and I began in the district in 2002 after serving the children of East Roundpo for a decade. Amani, we've known each other for a long time, and I want to thank you personally for putting the teachers' agreement on the agenda tonight for consideration by the board. You've made transparency an important goal of your administration, and considering this agreement in public and putting it to a vote goes a long way to achieving that goal. It is so important to hear where our elected officials stand on important issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have to say this evening, I'm not having an out-of-body experience like the last time.
Okay.
I was not expected to
Would
speak.
you kindly, we know who you are, but would you be so kind to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Finetta Miles, and I'm the president of the Ram Co. Well, we haven't changed RAM because we like RAM tough. I know some of our members want to go Suffrage Central, and we've got a tally going right now, and RAM is still in the lead. So we'll see how it goes. But it took us a long way to get here, and we like the RAM. So that's what we are right now. So I'm president of the RAM Teacher Aides and Lunch Monitors. And I'd just like to say, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be standing before you again, pleased and grateful to the board for unanimously supporting our contract, and hopeful that our experience getting there has been a valuable lesson learned. Contract negotiations are important and invaluable. They have been a long-standing process between the district and its employees throughout every administration and Board of Ed. Representatives from both sides are entrusted with the responsibility to negotiate with thoughtfulness and concern for both the district and its employees. It is a trusted and respected process that has never been used as a means to an end or a way to pursue compliance on some unrelated matter. Rather, it has always been a good faith negotiation between employee and employer. And this is the reason that once presented to the board, there has always been a yes vote to ratify such agreements. We're all here tonight to honor this process as it should be. It is the right thing to do. It is the right time to do it. After all, it's Thanksgiving. So, let's thank our teachers, our clinicians, our librarians, our teaching assistants, and all the members who come under the umbrella of SEA. They deserve it, they earned it, they work hard, and believe me, I've worked with a lot of them here in various schools, and I know how valuable they are and what they mean to this district. And no budget should prevent them from seeking what they deserve and what they've worked for their families. So let's give thanks to them and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
My name is Melissa Hess-Gilardi. I'm a parent in the district. I have 2 children in Suffern Middle School, and I have to agree that the teachers deserve anything and everything we can give them. I am a huge supporter of our teachers. I'm a huge supporter of the PTA. I have always gone over and above to do anything I can to make the teachers more comfortable and give them anything that they need to help them help our students. It's not a matter of whether they deserve this raise. It's a matter of whether we can afford this raise. Okay? And I'm not going to say that we can't until we actually vet what's going on. I see the numbers that are being asked for, but I don't see any way that we're going to pay for it. Has anyone seen a projection budget over 4 years over what this increase is going to mean and how we're going to pay for it? If it comes down to it and we give you this raise, which you definitely deserve, and we have to bust the tax cap in order to pay for it, is that really going to happen? Are we going to close a school to make that happen? And if we do that, is that good for the teachers? No, that's not good for the teachers. A big percentage of you are going to have to be downsized. So I would ask the board not to vote yes on this contract tonight until you actually have some real details that you can share with the public. I would like to know how we're going to pay for this, how much it's going to cost. Do these numbers simply reflect a salary increase, or do they also reflect the budget increase that's going to come along with pension contributions, tax roll, other taxes, benefits, etc.? Again, I am a huge supporter of the teachers. I would give you anything and everything that I could possibly give you, but it's not going to do us any good if we pay you all this money and then have to close the school and downsize the district. Let's just see. I just want to see the numbers. If we can,
Okay, talk to me, Melissa.
if we can afford
so
this,
that we keep order.
President of the board, if we can afford this, by all means, I support it 100%. But I want to see that we can support it without then compromising our teachers in the future by closing a school and actually having a downside. Secondly, I want to make a couple of points that I think are important. One is, I think it's important to recognize that 4 of the 7 board members here have family members that are directly benefiting from this contract. Not that they shouldn't, and I'm never going to ask them to recuse themselves because then we have 3 of 7 board members making the decision for the entire district.
Excuse me?
That doesn't make sense to me either. The other thing I want to say is, once again, here we come with the agenda and not having enough time to prepare. I would like to have had this information to actually vet it. I've looked at other districts. The numbers that you're asking for in this memorandum are not in line with what's happening in other districts in our neighboring districts, and I don't know why. But I do want to say that I checked online for the agenda for this meeting as it was supposed to be voted on Thursday night. It was supposed to be posted, and it was not there. I checked again Friday morning before work, and it was still not posted.
Thank you.
I checked about 2 p.m., and it was not posted. When I sat down to review the agenda along with any supporting documents, I noticed that there suddenly an MOA with the teachers was added, and later on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you
very much.
You get
Thank
my point. Please just get your information before you make a decision.
Thank you. Next. Anybody? No, you had your chance. Somebody else.
Somebody, please.
Sorry, someone.
Pensions are due, come from New York State retirement system, not from the district.
I'm sorry?
Pensions
No,
come
I'm
from the
sorry.
New York State retirement system, not the district.
Order, please, and the next person needs to come to the mic, please. Thank you. Thank you. We just have to give opportunities to different people. But anybody who agrees with you can get up. Thank you.
How you doing, guys? Joseph Brabani, I have 2 kids in the district, one in the elementary school and the other one in Joanio. Really quick, this contract, I'm not sure the details, I haven't seen it yet, but if the teachers want a raise, give it to them. It's that simple. There's no discussion on this, guys. It's that simple, okay? And as far as paying for it, I want to remind this board that your predecessors turned money down for an event that I was giving you. I was giving you $300. You said no. The next time someone comes to this board and gives you money, don't turn it down, okay? It's that simple. It's for a field day. The board said, we don't want the money. We have too much money. We're rich. So if you guys are rich, then give teachers their raise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? We still have time on the clock, and now is your opportunity. Can you please, someone at the door, ask if anyone outside would like to comment? Thank you. I'm just waiting to hear from everyone outside. There are none. Thank you. I believe we're good. Thank you, Dr. Adams, for checking. At this time, I conclude the first segment of public participation, and we will move on to action items. We have action items 2.01 up to 2.14. Thank you, Dr. Adams. And this is the time when board members can pull any items for discussion.
2.08.
Okay, Ms. Reamer, 2.08.
2.09.
So hold on. Yes?
2.12.
Any others?
No,
I-
she answered. She's
No, but we're gonna, there's still a question regarding the funding, yeah, so I'll pull it. Mr. Curran, any items? Mr. McKenzie, any items to pull? Okay, Mr. Cab, you're good? Mr. Shapiro? Mr. Donnelly? Okay. 2.05, 2.06, 2.07. And 2.14. Being pulled for discussion. Discussion will occur after a consent agenda on the remaining items. The remaining items, just to clarify, that are being voted on as a consent agenda are 2.01, 2.02, 2.03, 2.04, 2.10, 2.11, 2.13. Did I get everything? That wasn't just. And now the chair would like to entertain a motion for a consent agenda on those items previously stated. Motion. Ms. Reamer, second. Mr. McKenzie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Any abstains? None. Those items have been moved. We will go in order on remaining items. We may be able to group them if there are similar questions. So I will start with the items I pulled, 2.05, 2.06, and 2.07. If it's okay with board members, the questions are the same on all three. We'd like a motion on the table to start a discussion. Anyone? Okay, we have a first and a second, Mr. Kern and Mr. Shapiro. And discussion. Anyone before me? So I had a question that was emailed regarding those three items, and Mr. Kuchera is here to help us with the response. If you don't see him, it's a sea of blue. It's a sea of blue. I didn't intend the pun, but it's perfect. If you could please come to the mic.
Sure, I'll take this if it's okay.
Okay.
Really what the board is approving or being asked to approve here is that these three projects are not environmentally a type 1 project. They do not cause any need for environmental impact statement, and it will just allow us to continue to move forward with designing plans and specs for the state education department to review on these projects. So there are two things that will still have to occur. The voters will have to approve funding for these projects, probably at the May budget time. So we are looking to right now just get seekers. There are no state environmental quality reviews for a new transformer at Sloatsburg Elementary School, new track, and some repairs at the middle school to the facing, and then also a new gym roof at the high school. None of which reach the level of an environmental impact statement for the architect and district council.
They're called Title 2.
Yeah, type 2 actions there is what they're considered. They are not,
Type 2.
They do not have an negative environmental.
And we asked a little bit about the projected cost of these projects, although today we are not voting on the cost of these projects. We're voting on actually submitting applications to state ed with the environmental release.
Right. Our best estimate at this point is that these three projects, three buildings, which have 4 purposes, will be about $1.7 million of total work that will have to be done.
$1.7 million. Mr. Kuchar, you explained that we have allocated some of these funds as part of the current budget. The rest of the cost would have to be a proposition,
Yes,
correct?
it would have to be separately, right, approved by the voters, probably in our main vote.
So about $1 million.
Yeah, and the capital reserve that was funded by the, approved to be funded by the voters is an amount of $10 million, would be where the majority of these funds would come from.
Roughly around 1 million, if I'm doing the math correctly.
Yeah.
Because we
have
put
traditionally
700,000 into the
right.
budget.
We have traditionally put 700,000 in the regular school budget, and then the remainder would normally come out of the capital reserve.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask all those in favor to signal on the items 2.05, 2.06, and 2.07. If nobody has a issue with voting on them together, I'd like no issue, then we'll vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Any abstains? 3 motions have passed. .08. Any discussion? Actually, let me start the motion. I apologize. Do you want to do 8 and 9 together? Together. So 2.08 and 2.09, we need a motion on the floor. Ms. Reamer, second. Mr. Shapiro, thank you. And that will be for both 208 and 209. Okay, any discussion?
I just wanted to make sure with Teresa that nothing was out of the ordinary.
Not at all.
Sorry, everybody. Nothing that was out of the ordinary, everything was.
Nothing at all.
status quo.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's coming up, yeah. Oh. You pulled it for me. Okay. All right. Okay, at this time, all those in favor of 2.08 and 2.09 and 2.08, yes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Any abstains? 2.08 and 2.09 have passed, thank you. I apologize. 2.12. Need a motion for 2.12, uncollected taxes. Mr. Cairns, second. Mr. McKenzie, discussion.
I just had a quick question. Sorry. This year, most of the uncollected taxes are due to state lands.
Correct.
So most of it was so short. And then Matt had asked a question, and basically they said it was more timing because the state lands usually pay in March.
Right, it's not unusual. All of Havistock is state lands, and I think it was about $3 million of Ramapo is state lands, and the rest are people that haven't paid as of November 15th, when I'm sure you know the town comes in, brings us every dollar that they have, and then the county makes us totally whole, whether people pay or not, they make us whole April 1st.
Okay. Now, do they also make us whole just in case we don't collect the state lands?
That's never happened,
Okay.
but I hope so.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't think that'll happen.
Can you explain the question?
Well, state lands is usually coming from the state, so sometimes the state shorts people on things that they're supposed to be paying, especially when you know that you're supposed to get your tax check back at the end of the year, April 15th, and the state has been very slow to pay, or sometimes sends you a letter saying that, we're gonna ask you questions because you want too much back from us. So the state was having a hard time financially, and they were paying less than what they were supposed to be paying. So I just wanted to make sure that their tax burden, they're not shorting.
So any funds that we're short in this uncollected tax is compensated through the county?
Yes, and if they'll be paid from November through April, but there will, and now you're paying a big penalty if you paid if you didn't pay your taxes on time. So they will make us whole on April 1st, close to April 1st, sometimes they're a little late, but within a week or so, of every dime they owe us. They take out, like this might be too technical, but say we have a tax cert that a company never paid us, they'll take that off what they owe us because they make that payment, we don't make that payment. So that's how that works, but yeah, we are like maybe 100,000.
And those numbers are typical, comparable
Yeah, it
to
looks pretty typical.
prior years?
Yeah.
All right, and Matt, you were good, you received a response, if you could please share the response. We have it, okay, it was today? Okay, thank you. I told you I'm staying off email.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. McKenzie?
So you said that nearly all of the stuff is state land that we're collecting taxes from.
All of Haverstraw and about 3 million of the town of Ramapo. The rest are taxpayers, businesses, people that have not paid their taxes on time.
Okay, acting on 2.12, uncollected taxes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any abstains? Any nays? None. Thank you. 2.14. 2.14 is memorandum of agreement on the Suffern Education Association. Motion?
So moved.
Mr. Shapiro. Second?
Second.
Mr. Curran. Discussion.
I have a comment.
Right ahead.
When I was elected, before I was sworn in, I went to the business office to learn about the budget, to learn about how they do the budgeting, the financial statements. Basically, they printed me out umpteen Excel worksheets. And basically, we were talking about the budget, and I was told that the budget going forward is not sustainable. That we will have to close a building between 3 and 5 years. I went back to my running mates at the time, and we vowed that we would do everything in our power to ensure that the school district succeeds with no building closures. If buildings ever close, that would be detrimental to your union, and I will not go for that. I love all of our schools. We were hoping that we were gonna get revenues in from Tuxedo, from closing their high school. They just voted to not close it down, and so we're not getting that revenue in, which happens. I don't wanna see our high school close, and we send our children to Tuxedo. So, you may laugh about it, but you're gonna talk about closing a building.
Limit the jokes. Okay.
I just want you to know that I appreciate everything our teachers do. And if I could, I would go for it. But looking at the numbers and the 2.3 that we're gonna have to kick in from the taxpayers for just the building aid, and then another 2.3, not to mention what's gonna be owed for the retirement system coming from the school district, and the taxes, and everything else that goes with it. It's just not feasible.
Mr. Curran, any comments?
I will start by saying that the road to get where we are tonight was muddy, and I think we can all acknowledge that. And I'm numbers that are represented in the MOA, I'm comfortable with. I believe that it's fair, and I'm in favor of it.
Mr. McKenzie?
I agree with Matt in how he said that the road here was very muddy. I think that the form, rather than the content, is what I have an issue with. I feel as though the process was violated. I feel as though there was a motive behind it, and I feel as though we were misrepresented to a degree. I am in favor. I like the numbers. I think that the numbers are fair, but I think that we haven't been given the proper information until yesterday of what exactly the numbers are and the projection of the long term for those numbers. So, do I think that we can do this? Yes. Are we ready to do it now? I don't think we really are.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around, and then if anybody has, specific budget questions, we're gonna do the round two that way. Mr. Donnelly?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm in a unique position, that I've been in the building with you people for 17 years. It was a great experience. And I can honestly say that I know what you do every day. I've been in your classrooms, I've been in your gymnasiums, I've been in your libraries. I know what you do, and I appreciate it. And I am prepared to vote positive for this contract. You deserve it. It's fair numbers, and this community can take the expense on. Thank you for what you do.
Mr. Shapiro?
Yes. Use this. I use this.
It's always a conundrum. That's a SAT word. So I've sat where a lot of you are sitting, not exactly where you're sitting. As a former teacher, a former building administrator, these are interesting times. It's a great turnout. I know what the teachers do. I've been very fortunate. I'm going to change the word fortunate. I've been very honored to work with Tommy at Suffern High. Donna and I have discussed this. We should have billboards, not the 3 billboards in, I can't use this thing.
Not the 3 billboards in whatever movie that was.
White billboards.
Right. But one that says, if you want to know what a great high school is like, come and visit Suffern High. We could have, if you want to know what a great middle school is, go see Suffern Middle School. And you can go from Cherry Lane, R.P. Connor, you can go to Viola, you can go to Montebello, you can go to Sloatsburg, you can go to any one of those 5 schools and see how the administrators work with the teachers and how the teachers work with each other. That just doesn't happen. That's created here. The atmosphere in this district is one of, like, just greatness. The former district that I worked in, which Don and I actually both did, was great at one time. Probably was great before a lot of you were born. I don't want to go there. But in order for us to be great, we have to show the appreciation for the staff, all staff. Doesn't matter what your position is. You're all part of this family. And that's what we are. We are a family. The Board of Education is part of your family. We are with you. And I know there are questions about money. You know, can we sustain it? You know, Melissa brings up a very good point. You know, are we just seeing this, or are we looking 3 years ahead? Are we looking 5 years ahead? Are we looking 10 years ahead? For some of you, you're going to be gone. You know, you're going to retire. I might be gone, but you're going to be gone. Okay.
You'll be in Delaware.
Right. But we also have to know what is fair and what's important. And in my thinking, this was like a perfect storm. It's like a good atmosphere. There's a good atmosphere between, and I'm going to be dead honest here, between the association, the superintendent, parents, students. It's all good. It's all up. We should grab this. This is that brass ring that you don't always even get to see, but it's there now, and we should grab it. I tend to get a little bit emotional, but that's me.
Thank you, Mr.
Whether we vote on it now, or if we wait 2 weeks and we vote on it later, well, if we're going to vote on it and if we're going to pass it, we should pass it because it's the right thing to do. I've had the honor to work with a lot of great people in this district. Some principals who are here tonight. I worked with you. I worked in place of one of you for a very short time. Really, the district is great, and it's because of the teachers. So when it comes to voting, I guess I don't have to say what I'm doing. I think you got the hint. But I think it's time for us to step up. And sometimes we may have to tighten our belt along the way, or maybe there'll be a windfall. And when the windfall comes, we'll be there to catch it. So that's it.
I don't know if
Mr.
any of-
Clarence, go right ahead.
All right. I don't know if any of you have seen the film Groundhog Day, or it even became a play on Broadway. Okay, but if you've seen it, basically it's the same thing over and over again. And if you remember, about a couple of months ago, we were here, and the board was presented with a contract. And at that time, basically, we voted the contract down. The reason was we weren't really against the contract at all. The question was, what's in the contract? Okay, that was the problem. And eventually, we had a meeting afterward. We figured out, we got information, exactly how many people that contract was for, and how much the contract financially was going to cost the district each year for the 4-year contract. That night when we were presented with it, okay, we did not have that information, even though the information was requested, okay, and that's the problem, okay. Unfortunately, you know, we tonight at 10 of 7, we were presented with numbers, okay. That is not significant or enough time, okay, really to analyze and say, because I think the contract is fair. Obviously, the thing that makes really Suffern strong in terms of an education, it's not the administration, no offense, but it's the teachers, okay? And you do great things. But one of the things we have to do is go by process. Unfortunately, okay, we asked the question about should this be on the agenda tonight or not, okay? The idea was, what we asked for was information. Let's see what those numbers are going to cost us in the first, second, third, and fourth year, okay? By the advice of our attorney, okay, he basically told us it should not be on the agenda, okay? For some reason, I have no idea why it is on the agenda at that point, but we would certainly want to entertain exactly when we go back and we have a chance to discuss the numbers and the impact, okay? That obviously would determine whether or not to pass it. At this point, okay, I don't think I can say a yes vote, but, you know, given the numbers, get the background before it, and if it is feasible, certainly you would have my vote at that point. But tonight, that is not possible, as it was 2 months ago when the other contract was given to us without, again, any numbers behind it, okay? We have the Board of Education a fiduciary responsibility to do due diligence, okay? And you have to know exactly what you're going to be spending, okay? And unfortunately, this is not how it has been at this contract or the contract before.
Thank you for your comments. I would like to turn this into any specific questions regarding the information that was provided late yesterday evening, since we haven't had a chance to really discuss this information. Now would be an opportunity for us to ask any questions that we may have that have to do with the financing of the proposition. As far as the activation of the item, Mr. Jackson, thank you for your comments. I will have to divulge that I was not given the opportunity to actually put this or not put it, neither, on today's agenda. It was put after our agenda was activated. So I can't claim credit, and I didn't want you to give me credit. That's not due. I can't take credit for the fact that it's on tonight's agenda. In the meantime, there's one proposition that is attached to today's agenda, and this is my first.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
Can I interrupt?
No, I'd like to ask my question.
I would like Dr. Adams to, there's been a lot of allegations here that things are thrown into this. I would like Dr. Adams just to maybe
Of course.
have his say
Sure.
and inform what is really going on here.
I mean.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. But my question, I was starting to ask on the report that was sent last night, since we got one report today and 3 last night that have to do with questions requested October 16th, and then the balance on November 6th. My question is specific to, and whoever Dr. Adams chooses to respond, is specific to one of the reports provided last night. That has the breakdown of the numbers that are on the agenda today. And my question, I need clarification of this chart a little bit of explanation, so I'm not reading it incorrectly. So Teresa, I believe you can.
I didn't do it, I don't have it.
Who's able to answer?
Anthony, is he
Sorry.
still here? If Anthony's still here, I believe he's the one that.
Is Mr. Kushera around?
Which contract do you want? We have 4.
No, the one on the table today is your number 3. So we numbered them earlier today, because that was the first time we had them in print. Number 3 is what we're discussing. And basically, we have several columns on this. Last night is the first time, again, that we're seeing this document. And I really want to be scientific about this. For those who know me, you know that's the only way I can address any issue on the table, is to really understand what we're approving or disapproving, or what we would like more information on and what we have enough information on. So that's just how I operate.
Oh, Anthony's here.
Mr. Kushera, hi. So on this proposition that's on the MOA that was placed on tonight's agenda, if you can explain the columns on that front page.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
All right, so what this is based on a 4-year agreement on the existing salary grade of 1.6, 1.8, 2.2, and 2.4% increases. And the way it works is the BA1 step goes up by that amount, and then the index computes the numbers throughout. We then, TRS and Social Security are directly impacted by how much money the person makes. TRS changes each year, but based on our best estimates, we're saying 16% in addition to that is for the benefits that are directly related to salary. FICA is 7.65, TRS changes, but we're looking at a rate between 9 and 10 on that. So the total cost, including the benefits, in year 1 is that $1.8 million figure, $1,817,000.
Where's that figure on?
Including benefits.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yep.
So
So that's really, that's the column.
The column before the last.
Yeah, the last
Oh.
column just showed, compared to a 2% tax cap. We obviously, the tax cap each year, the vernacular is 2%, but it does change, but for purposes of what, if we tried to, if the goal was stay within the tax cap each year, that gives us anywhere from $2.2 to $2.3 million each year that we can spend. So this contract would absorb 1.8 of that 2.2 in this first year. Now, obviously, there's a whole lot of other things. We're hearing maybe TRS is gonna be a little less just next year. We've yet to get our final health insurance numbers. So the other parts of the budget, normally what we work on in February, March, and present to the voters in May. But right now, this would encumber approximately, 1.8 of that 2.2 spending authority. And then each year, we again show you, each year it's less than the 2% as far as the tax cap amount. But it's, it absorbs somewhere around 75 to 80% depending on the year of it. But that, obviously, the teachers' professional salaries are our largest expenditure also.
Right.
So that's what we were, that's what this chart showed you. There's all the backup behind it. This does not take into account, just so you know, just completely transparent, if teachers achieve more credits and move columns, that's above and beyond. If there are retirements, then obviously if a more senior teacher leaves, new person comes on, that would be, more revenue for us to help pay for this. So that's, so those are really the economic portions of this agreement you're looking at.
Okay, a couple of questions related to that. I see that we get very close to the cap on years 3 and 4, and those would be, just looking from a spectator seat, the more concerning years where we've gotten extremely close to the cap on those 2 years.
Those are the higher percentages, yeah, 2.2 and 2.4 and 3.4.
And now we're at what percentage of the cap at those in year 3 and 4?
1.9 compared to 2.3, so that's, somewhere around that 85%. I would have to just do a quick little calculation. It's 1.9 million of 2.3 approximately. And it's not surprising the last 2 years, those are the higher percentages, 2.2 and 2.4.
Yes.
Are in year 3 and 4.
Right.
Again, part of the hope is that maybe there'll be retirements in the meantime to help a little bit to absorb some of that. But
Right, and we also
again,
don't know what TRS is. We don't, there's so many factors
Unpredictable.
that we don't know, but
Right.
it has been going down. We've had savings in TRS over the last few years as well. So, I mean, significant savings over a couple of years. So.
And there was an expectation that the retirement will go up at some point, that you reported recently that the trend where it dropped is not.
We don't know, but right now it's going down. It's going down again this year.
We did receive a note from the teacher retirement system. This year it's approximately 10.6% we had the budget. Next year they gave us a range of 8.5 to 9.5%.
Okay.
But again, the fluctuations have been huge. It's been from as low as 1% to as high as 16%. So, over these 3 years it will not be flat. We know that much. The general economy, performance of their investment funds, we all know they use a 5-year trend on all those things. So everything, including stuff in the current events.
Is that column including the Social Security impact?
Yes.
So that one includes the benefits and the Social
Yeah,
Security?
we are assuming 16%, and again, TRS right around 10, 9 to 10, 7.65 is Social Security. Social Security is not on all earnings, but that's why we're saying 16% is what we're factoring for benefit that we would have to, that'll be direct dollars.
And so, how far, I know Matt has been a big encourager of projected budgets and presentations about that. How far is your projection ready to discuss, and can we please have the pie chart of what our projections are for the duration of this contract, which is 4 years? I have asked for that October 16th and November 6th, and I, until this minute, don't have it. I don't have the rest of the pie expectations, because we're signing off on 4 years. We should at least have projections for 4 years. So.
Yeah, and we will, right, the assumptions will be crucial, what we expect for increased state aid. That is not a product I have to hand you right now.
Right now.
Here's the next 3 or 4 years picture. The general financial situation of the district is positive, and that's what
we want to keep it that way.
Lends us to feel that, give and take with things, this is attainable for us.
And remember, this is our biggest expense.
Yeah.
This is by far our biggest
Right,
expense.
but also we need to make sure that we have salaries for all other groups, that we have to pay, and we can maintain our buildings and can do renovations that are needed, and can continue to keep our programs that we're very proud of and market that our teachers are proud of as equally, and that we do not close a building and never have to dig deep into reserves that cannot be touched to balance the budget, and we never want to go over the tax cap because that's a difficult thing to do in a community.
Yeah, we have been, in the last few budget years, we have not had to rely on any reserves for our operating budget.
So, would you be able to provide the rest of the budget for a 4-year projection, please? Because I've asked for that for a month now.
Yeah, and I will, yes, and that can be done. Obviously, it's not here right this moment, but it's
Right.
going to be based on assumptions.
Yes.
And I promise you, it's not going to, those assumptions.
They're never 100% precise.
I mean, we don't know what 4 years from now state aid is going to grow. We can trend certain things. We know what our indebtedness is. Some things are hard and fast. We have a good idea of our building aid, and obviously there is a drop in plan for a number of years that was coming. We have funds set aside to help with that for this year, but no, I cannot right now hand you a 4-year financial plan.
Thank you.
Incorporating this.
You're now aware that I've requested that, so I need to see that.
Anthony, quick
Yes.
question.
Yes.
How much can the district use in terms of its fund balance to help pay for a increase in the teacher contract?
It's a revenue that's at the board's discretion. Obviously, we have a high degree of reserves and set-asides right now. So as those are drawn down, we would, no matter, irrespective of this teacher contract, whatever we were dealing with, we would be judicious in how we used it. We do feel we can free up some of that for purposes over the next few years. We actually approached that even back in May. We kind of said we don't expect, for instance, tax certs to continue to be able to be funded at 100%. We've been very fortunate. We're unique in the ability to do that. So we have set aside for those, again, a very high level, probably way more than we'll need. But again, you just want to release a little bit. You want to be prudent. You want to have a plan because it is a one shot that you're using. But we are very fortunate. We have a very strong balance sheet, and that will see us through a number of things, including this contract.
What would be your prudent number in terms of taking out that amount of money, just out of curiosity, as the business person?
Nothing is just in it on its own. So interest income is going up for us. That's a revenue that probably we have some good news on. We're all noticing, used to be CDs, nobody even thought about them. All of a sudden, bankers are starting to provide us with real interest income. We have $110 million in taxes. If we can get up to a 3% CD, that's interest. We were in less than 150 to 200,000. That potentially is a new revenue source. So that would be a more sustainable. Again, whether it's $500,000 a year that we would take out of reserves to help balance the general budget, that obviously is available and can be done. We've done $0 over the last 6-10 years. Really, we have not used fund balance to support the budget. So now we do believe, and we're going to have to, irrespective of this agreement.
When? Starting when?
Well, again, the drop in building aid was coming in 1920, so we expected, and we did talk back in May, that we're going to have to relook at how we reserve for. Our biggest thing is tax certs. Approximately $20 million for tax certs. We're going to have to release that, and we have to. Obviously, these are real things. We're in court fighting these issues. They're not going to go away. We will have to make payments. We're very at a high level of reserve, so maybe we can tone that down. But we're not going to recommend, reserves to solve the problem of whether it's this, the contract, whether it's our facility needs. It's going to have to be, very prudently turn that spigot on with the understanding that it's a one-shot revenue.
And this reserve, this loss of building aid, this is something we've been talking about for about 5 years. We've planned for this. It's not like, oh, we're gonna lose 2.3 and we don't know that we have to do that. We have a debt service reserve that could be used for payment of this building debt service, because we knew this was going to happen. So it's not, the 2.3 is not something that's unforeseen. We've been looking at it a long time.
Right.
And that's why we try to look at our budget, look at our reserves, because we knew this cliff was going to happen. Without raising taxes to pay for that we would have the reserves to do.
Thank you. So my question to piggyback on what you just mentioned, we have 2 additional contracts that will come very soon, in fact expire similar to the C contract in June of 2019. Then we have 2 other contracts. Have you done projections as to how to accommodate all our employees in these contracts and balance the budget without going into, without obviously facing the tax cap, without having to go into reserves that we're not supposed to go into?
We projected, 2.25% on salaries across all groups, so that is what we will continue to project for the groups that we're not here talking about.
Projected 2.25 plus steps?
Some groups don't have steps.
Oh, for the other.
Some do. So, in total salary package.
Okay.
Yep.
And of course, those salaries are this is the biggest salary that you're going to look at. They're much smaller here.
The highest
And that's
impact
not the
of that.
benefit. By the way, when you look at that benefits column, that's before the benefits column.
Right.
16% of the, so just to, so it's comparable.
Do you factor in, okay, I'm sorry, somebody else.
I was going to say, years 3 and 4 seem to be the ones that are the biggest concern. So they're the times when we're the closest to the 2% tax cap. So if we get, if we're in those 2 years and we can't balance our district budget, what do we have planned? We're just going to see what happens.
We will have to reduce expenses, find other revenues, whether it's interest income, whether it's reserves. But again, if they're asking right now for what is the 4-year plan that completely absorbs this and an assumption of other economic variables, we can provide that. I can't hand it to you now. The biggest hope would be that there are some separation costs, that we, every year we get 6 to 10 retirements. That's not factored here. That could be, depending on who the replacements are, that could help buffer those years 3 and 4. So
We're also going to have new hires, and my understanding from what was shared is that new hires, there's a higher demand in the district for E&L and special education.
Yeah, they're not going to come in at step 1, right?
And
Those slots are
yeah, that we're not hiring at
right.
these lower steps.
No, they're not. So that's, we're not going to get the normal, difference between top salary and step 1. You're not going to notice all that until, that'll also provide some relief.
But we don't want to exceed the capacity of the budget at the expense of having to cut any programs, as you say.
We feel like for our facility needs, we've done a good job of preparing for.
Right.
It's not like there's a big bond issue that's coming.
Right.
So that's not big. We obviously are not, our student enrollment's not growing, so we don't see a growth in staff. If anything, we'll see a slight reduction in staff, just as normal attrition. Do we need to replace positions? Not talking anything grand about building. Just, our teaching staff slightly decreases each year unless we add programs. So between that, separation, interest income has never been this low, so if we get back to a normal interest income, that'll be a nice little revenue for us. But in the next breath, we've had a few years of state aid increases. I'm not going to predict for the next 4 years that state aid is going to continue to go up, but we're not going to have a recession, or we're not going to.
We can't predict.
We can't predict. That's why I'm saying whatever projection we give you, is only as good as the assumption.
That's why the total budget projection is a really important piece of information that we're still.
Well, we had a little looking forward in May, and we did at that point say there are some issues regarding our reserves that we need to look at to help across the 4 years.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So again, just to reiterate, so you're saying basically without really damaging our fund balance, you could actually take out 500,000 and apply it, okay? My other question would be to our attorney, and that would be, the question is the third and the fourth year, okay? That's basically, you know, the heaviest amount. If a contract is signed, okay, and the economy does, you know, not perform as well, okay, what's the procedure for reopening a contract to, you know, again, at both sides, because it's in the interest of both
Mr. Karen,
the teachers and
so
the
if I may interject,
board.
we will not be able to get a legal opinion publicly, and it is important for your decision-making, we can convene into executive to ask any legal questions, because we can't get that legal response in public, just to let you know, so that.
Okay. And
So
again-
you'll let us know if we need to do that, and then we'll all beat you up, so.
Can't get an opinion, okay.
No, not publicly, due to attorney-client privileges. Mr. Shapiro?
Yes, I know that Angus was concerned about the money in years three and 4. The difference between the third column and the last column for year 1 is about $390,000. The difference in year 3 is about $351,000, so it's only a difference of $39,000. Not a huge amount of money. And the difference in year 4 between the 2 columns is, and compare it to year 1, it's only a difference of about $26,000, closer to $25,000. All right, I'm not a math major, but I can do
Number 1 and 4, the difference is
Okay, yeah,
100,000,
all right.
yeah.
These are figures, okay? The difference between
100.
column 3 and 4 in year 1 is 390,210. I'm sorry, 21. Right, 390,021. The difference in the second year is 472,177. So you can invest no money. In year 3, the difference between the two is 350,687. So let's say it's close to 351,000 compared to the 390,000 in year 1. It's only a difference of $39,000.
Between the year and the
All right.
prior year, that's what you're doing.
I'm not the prior year, the first
The first
year.
one to start with.
All right, so if we thought the first year was good, the third year, while it's not as good, it's not awful. It's far from awful. And then when you go to the fourth year, it's 364,952. Let's call it 365 compared to the 390 from the first year. So it's a difference of about $25,000. So what I'm trying to show you is that, yeah, 3 and 4 are less than year 1, but not significantly less. We're talking about, I don't know, a cup of coffee 2 times a day from Starbucks, starts at the time of year. We're trying. Starbucks coffee.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we should have brought it here. We could have had coffee. We have all night.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Order, Ms. Reamer, go ahead.
I do have a question. Looking at an average tax bill, it shows the taxes that need to be collected by the smartphone. It is on. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
It was 110 million, basically,
Yeah,
for tax
just-
collection. So we're talking even year 1, 389,000 on 110 million goes very fast. If there's anything that changes within that budget, you've now blown your 389. Looking at it from tax cap to what the salary is with the benefits is not a true picture. You have to look at the whole picture.
Mr. Kuchera, have you accounted for dropping enrollment issues and how we're balancing that? Is this?
There's no change in FTEs here. So if there were FTE changes because you have less enrollment, that would.
Is there a projection of any cuts due to dropping enrollments? We'd like to really know. It's important, if that conversation.
Right now, we're not able to.
Not at this time.
Yeah, we're not this time, we just don't.
No, we haven't started budget discussions yet.
One second, so we don't have a projection even for 1920?